Welcome to Tzu Chi This Week. I'm Mary Lee. It's good to have you with us. Coming up in this week's top stories, U.S. Tzu Chi volunteers offer emotional support to those displaced by the gas explosion in New York City. In Taiwan, TIMA members and Tzu Chi volunteers conduct their bi-monthly free clinic in Shanxi District, New Taipei City. And in Fujian Province, China, we meet Fu Chenzhen, whose life is now filled with color despite her turbulent past. We start today's program in the United States. In the aftermath of the gas explosion that collapsed 2 buildings in New York City, many charity organizations rushed to set up shelters to settle those who have lost their home. The American Red Cross set up an emergency reception center to provide hot meals and counseling, while Tzu Chi volunteers were invited to help translate and comfort those staying at the Salvation Army shelters. Due to the devastating nature of the event, Tzu Chi volunteers soon plan to distribute cash cards to help residents through this difficult situation.
On the streets of Harlem, New York, a loud boom shook the entire neighborhood.
I was awake while it happened. It was a loud boom. I was watching TV. Shook me in my couch.
It wasn't scary until I saw the smoke. When I saw the smoke, that's when I started to get worried. I'm just happy we got out.
Remembering their escape from harm, local residents are still traumatized. Rushing to the scene to offer their support are charity organizations such as the American Red Cross and Tzu Chi Foundation.
We opened a reception center here in partnership with the city and the police department to make sure that families that were displaced could come here to seek shelter, a warm meal, and also to be able to get mental health counseling at this difficult time.
We are here to give them support and comfort them. We are also translating for Spanish speakers. We hope to provide them with some assistance.
Many displaced residents have been settled at emergency shelters like the one provided by the Salvation Army. Tzu Chi volunteers were also invited to provide spiritual comfort there.
They all have opened up their hearts and their wallets and their time. They're not here just for the night. They're here until we resolve this.
Tzu Chi volunteers plan to distribute cash cards to the victims shortly. Without a place to call home, the outpour of kindness from strangers will surely pull these victims through this difficult time.
Switching to Malaysia, as rescue teams and naval forces are still searching for the whereabouts of the missing flight MH370, Tzu Chi volunteers from the Catalan branch have been mobilized to ready daily necessities in preparation for any future emergencies. Meanwhile, Tzu Chi volunteers in Kuala Lumpur offer their care and emotional support to the family members of the missing passengers in hopes of helping them find peace of mind. Tzu Chi volunteers try to fix the cell phone of a family member, waiting to hear more news of the missing flights.
His phone can call out, but cannot receive incoming calls. It ran in the meeting room. However, when he turned it to silent mode, it broke down.
Patiently sorting out problems as they come, Tzu Chi volunteers have become a reliable source of assistance for everyone here. Now the volunteers' main priority is to do their best to comfort anxious hearts.
Right now, what we volunteers can do is to accompany them. We don't necessarily have to talk to them. Our job is to offer them help whenever they need it.
Following days of interaction, several family members have started to feel more comfortable talking with the volunteers. And through Master Zhen Yun's teachings, many of them have found some peace of mind.
Our origin is Taiwan.
When we eat, some family members will sit around the table and share their feelings with us. We have gradually built up mutual trust during the past few days, so now they are more willing to talk to us.
Other than family members in Malaysia, those in Beijing also recognized the volunteers' contributions and willingly sought help from volunteers when they arrived in Malaysia. Meanwhile, Tzu Chi volunteers of the Tzu Chi Kelantan branch are readying aid supplies following the disappearance of flight MH370.
We are now preparing food and eco-friendly lunch boxes. If there's any emergency, we can immediately deliver all these items to help.
According to officials of Malaysia Airlines, the flight bound for Beijing lost contact after it flew over the port of Tok Bali.
The flight lost contact at a location 122 nautical miles from the port of Tok Bali. Tok Bali is a small fishing village and a coastal town like Kelantan and Terengganu.
At Tok Bali's Maritime Safety Administration Center, government officials have set up a command center to try to track the missing plane.
Outside the command center, they put a whiteboard here so they can write down any updates they have.
Currently, naval forces from Malaysia and other countries are still searching for the whereabouts of the missing flight, while Tzu Chi volunteers have been readying aid supplies and praying for the safety of the passengers on board. Among those offering emotional support to distraught family members of passengers on board Malaysian Airline Flight 370 is Huang Baoying. Huang is determined to do the best she can to help settle hearts during this distressing time.
Upon learning the news of missing flight MH370, Huang Baoying arrived at the airport soon after to tend to worried families.
Before we talk to them, we need to be careful and observe their body language. If they turn away from us, we can identify ourselves as Tzu Chi volunteers. If they refuse to talk, we should remain on site to see if they need anything. Sometimes they will pass out from not eating.
In the meeting room, Huang Baoying gathers her fellow volunteers to share tips on how to tend to the traumatized family members.
On the first day, they will be more emotional and need some time to settle their hearts. Maybe 3 days later, you will find them to be more peaceful and more willing to talk to you.
Quietly observing family members from afar, Huang Baoying spares no effort in tending to the family's needs.
When you see them eat more, it means that they may be willing to share their feelings with you.
Having joined Tzu Chi 7 years ago, Huang Baoying says this is one of the most stressful events she has come across.
In the beginning, I was fearful and I was reluctant to take part because I didn't know if I would lose control or not. Thankfully, my husband was there to support me.
With the support of her family, Huang Baoying is determined to see this task through. A book gives her some ideas on how to comfort family members suffering through such trauma.
There were some useful tips in the book, ones that I could use to tend to the families.
Thanks to Huang Baoying's care and love, bereaved family members are able to find a little peace of mind.
In Taiwan, as part of their bi-monthly free clinic program, a team of medical team and Tzu Chi volunteers recently arrived in Shansi District, New Taipei City, to provide free medical care. For those senior residents who were unable to travel to the clinic venue, team members also made house calls to tend to them in their homes. Here's more.
它这个原理是从那边是把病人的痰吸起来是吧？
Putting the necessary medical equipment in place, Tzu Chi volunteers and team members are in Shansi District, New Taipei City, to carry out another free clinic for residents here.
This free clinic was attended by 84 patients in total. The number of patients was quite significant. Today, we provided ear, nose, throat care and taught participants how to maintain good oral hygiene. A lot of people were here to see Chinese medical doctors.
Thanks to the volunteers and team doctors, the 84 patients on site received much-needed medical attention. Later, the medical team hit the road to visit seniors who were unable to come to the free clinic. Against all odds, Tzu Chi volunteers find their way to the seniors' homes.
Don't eat curd food, but more vegetables, all right? And no peppers.
Treating patients like family, the volunteers carefully inquire into their medical history.
Among
the volunteers is Xie Zhongyou, who joined the volunteers to experience firsthand Tzu Chi's great love.
阿公，你这间我已经足水的咧，足黄的，足水的啦，向上的。对哦。系啊，
The Tzu Chi Foundation is good at uniting people to contribute their collective efforts. They are able to motivate people to come together and help seniors in need. I'm impressed.
Tzu Chi's community-based healthcare programs not only offer much-needed medical resources for residents in remote areas, but also help promote Tzu Chi's ideals in communities island-wide.
In our next report, we go to the Daai Farm in Sanxing Township, Yilan County, to learn how the farm educates members of the public on the importance of organic farming, recycling, and environmental protection. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers took a group of youngsters and their parents to the farm to have them experience the hard labor and dedication that goes into farming. And at the end of their visit, everyone went away with a deeper appreciation of their food.
Here at the Daai Farm in Yilan's Sanxing Township, students and parents experience the hard labor involved in planting rice seedlings. Under the guidance of Tzu Chi volunteers, youngsters and their parents work together to plant rice seedlings in the fields.
I can't move my legs because the field is deep and the mud is sticky.
Working in the muddy field, everyone experiences firsthand the hard labor required for the cultivation of rice. Up to their knees in mud, the students come to realize that farming is anything but easy.
There's no secret when it comes to planting rice seedlings. Just pinch 5 to 6 seedlings and place them in the field. That's all.
After a day of hard work, these youngsters have gained a better understanding of where their food comes from and the hard work of those involved. Aided by Tzu Chi volunteers, visitors come together to experience firsthand the farming life during this visit to the Daai Farm.
The total area of the Daai Farm is around 24,000 square meters. Here we introduce organic farming methods to our visitors.
In addition to organic farming, a recycling station and a retreat were also built at the farm. Around the structures grows various herbs and pandan leaves, which are an ingredient of Tzu Chi's signature instant rice. Other plants include a variety of vegetables and camellia trees. To foster the ecological cycle of aquatic plants, volunteers also built this ecological pond.
We have to weed on a regular basis so that the plants can grow properly.
Uprooting the weeds and turning them into natural fertilizers, Tzu Chi volunteers educate visitors on how to grow the plants and prepare food in a healthy way. With no herbicides or artificial fertilizers, these plants and vegetables can still grow up to be large and healthy. Brewing a pot of herbal tea, Tzu Chi volunteers welcome visitors with a tea ceremony. Once the former Tzu Chi liaison office in Yilan, the land has now been transformed into a farm for educational purposes and continued its work in guiding members of the public towards a deeper understanding of the world around them.
With a change of heart, a colorless life can be filled with color once again. In China's Fujian province, a patient suffering from osteoarthritis was troubled by her immobility, loss of husband, and the resulting burden on her daughter. Depressed, Fu Chenjin's life was at a standstill. With the help of Tzu Chi volunteers and her determined daughter, Fu Chenjin is now looking on the brighter side of life and full of hope once again. On a hospital bed, Fu Chenjin is having a good time chatting with Tzu Chi volunteers. However, 2 months ago, she only knew pain. Due to suffering from osteoarthritis, Fu was unable to walk. Her life turned colorless and she wanted to end it. Those suicidal thoughts stayed with Fu Chenjin for 4 years.
It makes me happy to see you today. If you didn't visit, I would be blue. I'm not lying when I say if you hadn't saved me, I might have died.
Fu Chenjin's life has been filled with rough patches. 17 years ago, her second marriage brought her from Hubei to Fujian. Then her husband passed away 7 years ago, leaving her and her daughter to rely on one another. During her recovery at the hospital, Tzu Chi volunteers fed and took care of Fu as if they were her family. For the past 2 months, Fu Chenjin has been looking forward to going home again. From the moment Fu Chenjin checked into the hospital to now, not only have Tzu Chi volunteers been by her side, but her daughter as well.
If I miss too many days of school, I fear I will not be able to catch up, so I want to attend class. But I'm also afraid that there is no one to take care of my mother when I'm in school. Now that she's better, I can return to school without worrying.
Thank you for your assistance. If you weren't here, she won't be where she is today.
With everyone's encouragement, Fu Chenjin now knows not to give up on herself. Moving away from their turbulent past, Fu Chenjin and her daughter look forward to a bright and peaceful future. In Vietnam's Bien Dong province, Tzu Chi volunteers held a gathering at a Taiwanese community center for local business leaders. During the event, 2 Tzu Chi volunteers from Taiwan and Malaysia shared their experiences of walking the Bodhisattva path and encouraged those in the audience to seize the chance to enrich their spiritual lives even while working.
To encourage more people to walk the Tzu Chi path, Vietnam Tzu Chi volunteers are holding a gathering for local Taiwanese businessmen. During the event, 2 Tzu Chi volunteers from Taiwan and Malaysia shared their experiences after joining the Buddhist NGO.
When we are working, all we want is more money in our bank account. The faster, the better. Although we earn a lot, in the end, when we look back, it was all for nothing.
20 years ago, Liu Jiyu, who works with garment exports, decided to invest in Southeast Asia. As a successful businessman, very soon Liu started to live a life of luxury. However, after witnessing suffering with his own eyes, Liu decided to put aside his job to become a full-time volunteer.
I'm amazed at how Liu decided to put aside his career to devote himself to charity work. I hope to follow the volunteers' footsteps and help those in greater need for the rest of my life.
Taiwan Tzu Chi volunteer Wei Liangshu, who once believed that consuming a lot of seafood would help him and his wife conceive a baby, says his sister's words of wisdom showed him the error of his ways.
My sister told me that I have killed a lot of lives in order to create a baby. Her words made me realize that what I was doing was wrong.
1年多年前我就开始学习吃素。
I decided to become a vegetarian about a year and a half ago, and I also recite Buddhist scriptures on a daily basis. I have been feeling very happy lately. I think it is my duty to inspire more people to go meatless.
For the past 18 years, Vietnam Tzu Chi volunteers have been holding free clinics on a regular basis to safeguard the health of those living in poverty. And through today's gathering, volunteers hope these businessmen can seize the opportunity to enrich their spiritual lives while at the same time enriching their business.
Traveling across the Pacific in the United States, on March 10th, the 58th Commission on the Status of Women officially kicked off in New York City. This year is also the 5th time the Tzu Chi Foundation participated in the event. On March 11th, a press conference was held at the Tzu Chi New York chapter with 2 Haitian volunteers sharing their stories of their work within the Buddhist NGO.
On March 10th, the 58th Commission of the Status of Women officially kicked off in New York. This year, the Tzu Chi Foundation invited 2 Haitian volunteers, Mira Collinette and Emily Desert, to share their experiences of walking the Tzu Chi path at a press conference held at the Tzu Chi New York chapter.
Sister Emily Desert. Je suis Emeline Désert.
My name is Marie Le Collinette. I'm a Girl Scout leader in Haiti and am a Christian.
This year's seminar topic was the light of hope, women as role models in rural communities, with the main speakers being two volunteers from Haiti.
I'm very nervous. I think my blood pressure has gone up as a result. It is very important for all of us to tell those attending the conference about the good deeds Tzu Chi has been doing in Haiti, especially the changes the NGO has brought to Haitians and how many locals have become volunteers.
So every year the UN Commission Status of Women has a session in March, and it's because it's an international stage, and Tzu Chi has participated for 5 years now. And I think it's important for us to share those stories so we can hear the real impacts on the lives of people, everyday lives of people that are being affected by those policies, whether it's sustainable development or gender equality, and tie them to a real person.
During the conference, although unable to attend personally due to visa-related problems, Tzu Chi volunteers from the Philippines still seized the chance via video conference to share their stories of carrying out relief work in the wake of Typhoon Haiyan.
Back in Taiwan, Kashiwagi Fuyuki, a middle-aged Japanese man who was unemployed and homeless for many years, recently visited Hualien in order to pay his respects to Master Zhen Yan for the help he has received from Tzu Chi all these years. During his visit, Fuyuki toured the Jingsi Hall, as well as used his own stories to inspire others to never give up despite the odds.
Finally getting a chance to see Master Zhen Yan in Hualien is Kashiwagi Fuyuki, who first met Tzu Chi during one of its hot meal drives for the homeless in Japan. Kashiwagi Fuyuki, who was once unemployed, saved up enough money by working odd jobs to buy a ticket to Taiwan.
If I want to see Master Zhen Yan, I had to come to Taiwan. There was no other way that I can meet her. That's why I decided to take on odd jobs to fulfill my wish.
Although not financially well off, Kashiwagi Fuyuki shows that with a bit of heart, anything is possible. During his visit, Kashiwagi also took the opportunity to recount his own story as encouragement for others. Touring the Hualien Jingsi Hall and seeing Tzu Chi's work around every corner, Kashiwagi Fuyuki made a firm vow to work further on Tzu Chi's behalf once back in Japan.
When I go back to Japan, I will join the volunteers' ranks. I hope to have the chance to see the Master once again in the future.
Under the guidance of Tzu Chi volunteers, Kashiwagi Fuyuki not only fulfilled his dream of traveling to Taiwan, but left recharged and ready to face the future as a Tzu Chi volunteer.
At the end of the show, we turn our camera back to Malaysia, where students from Malacca Tzu Chi Kindergarten and Daai mothers pray for the safe return of the passengers on board the missing flight MH370 by drawing cards filled with well wishes. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for watching. See you next week.